Hi, my name is Ritis, and because I'm always interested in the people and the background stories of the people that I'm going to, that I want to learn something from, I feel like I would like to share my journey, my stories. Well, not all of them, lucky for you, but some of them. So I was born. No, I won't start it that far. Don't worry. The journey, one of the starting points of my internal journey was not the very beginning of it, but the pivotal choice, the moment. I was in a coaching training, like the standard coaching training, and we were having fun. We were having this exercise of having this goal written on a page of paper. And we put the paper 10 steps away. And then I was standing there, and there was a guy who was coaching me, who was guiding me. And he's like, take a step and look how it feels when you're going to your goal. And I take one step closer. I'm like, yeah, okay. Do you want to take another step? I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? And then after like 5 steps or so, I started feeling this pressure. I'm like, I'm not so sure I want to go forward to that goal. And then he asked me something. I answered him. He coached me a little. I was like, okay, I can take it. I took another step. And I remember when it was 3 steps left, I felt such intense pain in my body. There was some pressure, some heaviness on my chest. And I felt like I hate it. I don't want to go further. I don't care what the heck this goal is. I'm like, I'm suffering now, so I'm not even going. And I remember I was standing there. I was like looking at that paper. I'm like, dude, it's just a paper. It's like, it doesn't bite or anything. But something inside of me was like, no, I don't want to do that. It feels like forcing myself. It feels like there's some pain that's so uncomfortable that I want to run away. And I was like, you know what? I don't care about this goal anymore. Like, it hurts. And I don't want to go further with it. And he couldn't get it. He was like, why? Like, don't you want it? I'm like, sure, I would like it. But if I have to suffer through this for that, it's not worth it for me. And in that moment, standing in front of that piece of paper, I realized that this whole approach where I'm smart, when I'm learning how to use my intellect, my mind, where I'm really rational and thinking and planning and having goals and smart things to do, and I'm just following through, and I am this great, successful, whatever that could have been. I realized it's something wrong with that. For me, I need to learn how to deal with my emotions. I have this pain in me that stops me. And if I don't look at it, if I don't learn how to transform that, it feels like I'll go nowhere. And it was so clear that like probably there will be not much happiness for me if I follow this. And so I made this decision to find the tools that would help me to overcome and heal my pain. And I don't have this extremely sad story of very tough childhood. Yes, there were things. My parents divorced. I had a stepfather that was shouting a lot. I felt weak, but I was smart and blah, blah, blah. Like, there were things, but it wasn't, I don't know, that horrible story that sometimes people tell. Oh, I was homeless and this and that. I'm like, no, I was having decent life, but I wasn't happy because the emotions that I had since I was a child, I was so sensitive. There was so much of them that I didn't ever know what to do. And when I was standing in front of that paper, I was about 28, 29 years old. And I realized, like, I haven't learned much about it to that point. And that decision took me to a meditation camp about 1.5 years later, where it was the first time that I heard things that made sense, that worked for me, that helped, that I can actually feel the feelings, that I can welcome them, that I can let them go without suffering through them, but also regaining my power, regaining the courage that I felt I could have more, right? Who wouldn't want more confidence and more peace and more happiness? Like, most people say like, yeah, I want that. I'm like, okay, so now let's go and look at the things you don't want to look at. Well, couldn't we do it some other way? Maybe. But the way I see it, it's worth it. And I remember it was the third day of that first camp. And that was happening, like, we were in the process of meditation. The guy that was doing the retreat, he was guiding a meditation. And for about 5 years to that point, for most part, I would feel this tension in my heart on the left side of my chest. Sometimes it would hurt. It would feel like my heart is aching, right? There's a nice word, heartache. So I was like having that. It was painful from time to time, unpleasant, pressure other times. And it was going on for years. I went to the doctors. They checked my heart. They were like, stop wasting our time. It's perfect. I'm like, okay, that's all I needed to hear from you, that my heart is fine, but my head and my emotions are not. And in that moment, I don't know what exactly was happening. I don't remember the words or the topic he was talking about. But I just started to feel how my heart is opening, like that pain that I was carrying for years, just like the gate opened, and I just like felt and kind of saw in my imagination this flow of sadness, of pain, of disappointment, just expanding. And I felt lighter and lighter and lighter, and it just worked. And I was like, oh my God, it's gone. So even though I say like we can't get rid of the feelings, like the experience of that moment feels like that. Now I know better. Over 10 years later from that moment, I know so much better. Like, it's not about pushing it away or getting rid of it or just like go, 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 go now. It's all about embrace that I did in that moment without fully understanding what I was doing. But it just happened, and it was so amazing because it kicked me off. I was like so euphoric that I would preach. I was that pesky fanatic for next like half a year. I was like, you have to experience this thing. This is amazing. I have lost some friends in the process because I really annoyed them to the point where like, dude, can we just talk? I was like, yeah, we're talking about the feelings. So I was really obsessed in the beginning, and that joy, that like obviousness that there is a way and that it works, and that it helps me and helps others, and seeing people around me who were learning with me or who I was helping at the time, like in retreats or whatever, or just among friends, I was so amazed at the simplicity of that, because I saw how complex it was for me, and I saw how complicated it looks for the people that have no idea what to do. And this urge to share it, this sense of like, heck, it's so useful. I want to help others to do that. In the beginning, my mind was like, fuck no. Do what you do. You're a programmer. Shut up and just keep working. And I was like, yeah, it's really, really scary, but I feel like I should do it. And then my mind came up with like impossible challenge. It was like, you can do it if you have a sign. A sign from what? Like from God, of course, or universe, or however you want to call it. You need to get a sign so that you can do it. Like, I was like, okay, that's a requirement I will never meet. But in like 4 or 5 months after, I got my sign. And when I saw it, when I experienced it, it was so overwhelming. And I will tell you this story if you're interested in it some other time. But it was so overwhelming. And I realized, oh my God, this is it. Like, that's exactly what I asked for. And then the next thought was like, shit, now I must do it. So it took me a few more months to start offering sessions. And I have spent the last over 10 years, every year, working with people one-on-one for over 1,000 hours a year, doing courses, doing retreats, workshops, being on stage and sharing the stories and the tools that I was using with whoever was there to listen, going to festivals. And it was an amazing journey. And also through the years, the experiences that my clients had, the ability to see how someone who was afraid, who was suffering, can relax, how peace and light and happiness comes back to them, how their eyes start shining when they let go of the pain they carry, is one of the most fulfilling experiences and most humbling experiences, because I never know when that moment happens. But when it happens, it's so obvious because it's there. And I wish that I can share it with others, that I can bring that experience to the people who resonate, to the ones that need to hear it, want to hear it, and are in that right time and the right spot to have that experience. I was told by one of my friends who was and is a Vedic astrologist like 4 years ago, almost 5 now. He looked at everything and he was like, you know what you're here to do? I was like, no. You're here to help people to go from the feeling or the experience that I can't into the experience of I can. And in that moment, my ego was like, no, I want to help more. I want to do something more special. It's like just so simple. But when the time went by, I realized that the simplicity of that is also a gift for me and for everyone who experiences that. And that is my reason why I am here and why I am doing exactly this. I hope to meet with you and witness your heart opening and shining. Thank you.